A very good morning to you. Welcome to the Breakfast Club. My name is Brighton Ncube. Today on the show, I'm talking to Descent Dube, the director of Matobo Youth Development Initiative, talk more about the problems happening there in Matobo and what they've been doing there at the center. Welcome, Descent, to Breakfast Club.
Yeah, thank you, Brighton.
Like, Descent, let's talk about the Matobo Youth Development Initiative. What are some of the challenges that are facing there as an initiative?
Yeah, so being a youth organization, there are many challenges. When you start such an initiative, seeking to address some of the social ills, trying to make sure that you close the gap between the young people in rural areas and the urban youth, you definitely rejected by the community. They're like, a young person, how possible is he going to address these challenges? It's like a societal culture that maybe might hinder you to be able to implement what you seek to implement. But as we progressed as an organization, we managed to appeal to the community. So now things have changed.
The main challenges that we're facing, I've been looking at Twitter, the platforms, the issue of road network, also the issue of schools. Maybe kind of paint a picture to us, the state of the school or state of education in Matobo.
Yeah, so the state of roads, to start with, is not that good. As you can see from Bulawayo to Mapisa, the road is not that good. Currently, they are patching the road, but they are doing dusty road, which we would have expected for the road to be tarred. But the road network is not good. I think it's one of the reasons why there's no access to information, because you realize that some wards, especially in Matobo South, the road network is bad. So some of the services might not be reaching out to this. Some of the services might not be reaching out to those places. So then the issue of education, pass rate is not good. Our pass rate is not good. It's unfortunate that there are some schools in our district that have recorded 0%, which is really a national disaster. It's not just a Matobo disaster, but it affects the region and the country as a whole. So it's something that needs a collective intervention as a country so that we can try to close that gap.
Speaking of access to information, there's a lack of information there in Matobo. You're working with young people there. Yeah. It's election time in Zimbabwe. Where are they getting information from?
Yeah, they're getting information from us. WhatsApp is a source of information in Matobo district. Network is not that good, but WhatsApp is one of the most reliable source of information. It's unfortunate that WhatsApp sometimes comes with fake news, but people get most of their information in WhatsApp. So currently there are other media houses that are using WhatsApp to reach out to the people in Matobo. As an organization, we also try to get information from the mainstream media and share to the wider audience. And also we create information as an organization through our magazine. But all in all, information is not that available to people. You realize that some of the information that people are consuming is not reliable information. It makes them make uninformed decisions, but it's something that may be rectified by the emergence of a radio station. It's unfortunate that they haven't started operating, but we're hoping that as soon as they start operating, definitely it's going to close that gap.
I remember there were the by-elections in Matobo. I think last year the by-elections in Matobo. Maybe take us back to the journey of that by-election, the issues of access to information, participation of young people, participation of women there. How is participation of women there and young people in Matobo?
Yeah, in that by-election, you see, they in dry paddocks in Kamaswe, which is deep in Matobo South. But access to information, the road network from Mapisa to that ward is really bad. It's bad. The road to Chelanyamba, I think some of the cars are now avoiding that road. It's really bad. So access to information as a result is definitely going to be negative. Then the issue of network, the network there is bad. I once went to that ward, the network is not that good. So you realize that most of the information that they are consuming is foreign information, because some will be having their satellite dishes, they are consuming information from South Africa. So the information about our country, the national discourse, they are not that detached from what is happening in the country. So you realize that the kind of information that you are having is their local information, but not the information which actually affects their day-to-day lives.
So in the previous times, you have spoken in length about the issue of the youth apathy, in particular from the rural areas of Zimbabwe. Say, young people are now not caring about the issue of elections, the issue of governance. How is the issue of apathy there in Matobo? Are young people keen about elections? Are they interested in elections and governance?
Partly they are interested, but I feel like the majority are not interested. And I feel like we cannot blame them, because is there any political will to actually make them be interested in the election? They can't even connect service delivery and electoral participation. So the issue of apathy is something that we need to address as a matter of urgency as a country. It's something that affects almost everyone, because you realize that the issue of elected officials, the kind of presentation that they bring to the communities might be the reason why people are not interested to elect officials. It's like the most of the common belief is that and that thing might be the reason why people are shying away from participating in the electoral process. But the other thing, I believe that young people, if we actually disseminate the right message to them, they will definitely be interested in participating. We just have to relate to them, to actually speak to something that will strike a responsive chord to them. But if we just bring an idea, like an idea that they can't relate to, definitely they won't be interested.
Just to speak on participation of young people there, recently there's been the by-elections from, not by-elections, primary elections from ZANU-PF, and also the triple candidate selection process. Yeah. How has been the response from Abadala and Matobo in terms of participating in these elections as candidates and also going to elect their candidates in the primary elections?
Yeah, I know that ZANU-PF primary elections are done. They actually did their process, and we now know the candidates, the MP candidates. The councillors, it hasn't been made officially. We just hear it like Uti so and so will be contesting as the councillor for ZANU-PF and stuff, but we haven't got an official communication. But as for MPs, it was official, it was released, so we know our aspiring ZANU-PF candidates. As for CCC, we're still in the dark. We don't know whether they are going to be releasing it anytime soon, but we're eager to know. We're anxiously waiting for the release of those candidates, so that we know as the community who are vying for those positions.
So as Matobo Youth Development Initiative, you recently acquired land to build a youth incubation center, right, for young people. Yeah. Let me take us through the process of how you acquired land and what you're going to use the land for.
Okay, so what we did, we're actually working mostly in Ward 8 and Ward 7. So we actually went to the elders in those wards to actually present our proposal. So it was received with great pleasure. So they actually gave us a platform to present. We told them what we seek to do as young people. So we came up with a proposal with the elders and the young people in that community. We wrote the proposal in that community, then it was submitted by the councillor for that ward at the RDC. Then we paid all the fees, the application fee as well as the packing fees. Then after that, unfortunately, the land wasn't identified in Ward 8. Yeah. It was identified in Ward 7. In Ward 9, at St. Joseph's Business Center, which is a growing business center, we're hoping that soon is going to be a growth point. After that, after the land was identified, it was pegged by the council. So on Friday, we're going to be meeting all the stakeholders in our community, the young people, the traditional leadership, and the local leadership, to actually, we'll be slaughtering a goat to actually show them. It will be just a start to launching the youth center, to actually say, this is where we're going to be working. But the process has been a community process. Everyone knows what is happening. It has been welcomed by the community and the business people in the community. So it's something which is we're hoping that we're going to develop this center as a community. It's not like it's an idea which is imposed by the organization on people, but it's a collective community initiative.
So programming from a community where the elders and the young people, how is it like in terms of age gap between the elders and the youth, in terms of how do you reach a consensus? Yeah. At times when programming in rural areas where the old people don't understand what young people want. Yeah. How is it like maybe programming in a community like that? So
what we have done, we've always presented ourselves as professional as possible. We have never tried to change. Yeah. We have presented ourselves. We have given them what we are. So as young people, especially when we engage Abantu Abadala, we've tried to make sure that we do it in a respectful manner, respecting our values as young people. We grew up in that area. We know what they want and what they don't want, and what works and what doesn't work. There are some of the things that might not work, that we know that they are the reason why we are not progressing. So we try to engage them in a constructive manner, in a respectful manner. There is no case that I've been found in a squabble with the community or in a conflict with the community. I've always tried to make sure that we have a constructive conversations. Sometimes we do argue with our dala, but we end up coming up with a resolution which doesn't target someone in a negative way.
Right, so to someone watching the show, they are in Bulawayo, there are no Bulawayo, there are youth centers, right?
Yeah.
Amakai, there are no youth centers.
Yeah.
What would be the main purpose of the Youth Incubation Center? What are you going to offer there to young people in Matobo?
So what we're going to do, we're going to have we believe in the power of information. So we want to make sure that there's access to information. So in our youth center, we're going to make sure that we have a community library and also have a computer lab and also have a recording studio. We have realized that there are young talented artists in our communities who are not getting exposure. So we want to make sure that it's a hub that is going to give them exposure. They record their songs. So we're in the process. We've already started buying some of our equipment that is going to aid to make that possible. So we're going to make sure that we do career guidance in that center. We have a community hall in that center. We do career guidance with schools. And we're addressing the issue of education. I've realized that sometimes I went to Form 6 without knowing what I want to be. It's something that I know the power of career guidance. I only met some people from the National University of Science and Technology when I was Form 6. That's why I said I want to do journalism. So I know the power of information and the power of career guidance. So it's something that comes from our experiences. We want to address some of the issues that we feel like they were supposed to be addressed. So some of the interventions that we are bringing are coming from out of passion and out of the realities that we are seeing in our day-to-day lives. But all in all, the Youth Incubation Center is meant to close the information gap and try to make sure that we give the young people in our communities exposure and also train them in entrepreneurship skills, not just focusing on the academics, but also ensuring that they've got information, they make informed decisions at the end of the day.
So in every areas, we've been speaking about the issue of young people abusing drugs, drugs and substance abuse in Bulawayo. You know, Harare has been doing the same thing again. Let's talk about that. Is that a problem there in Matobo, the issue of drugs and substance abuse? Yeah,
it's a problem. And I think we had a meeting recently where we were trying to come up with it was a stakeholder meeting where we tried to come up with a collective approach on how best we can counter this drug and substance abuse. So in one of those meetings, that's where we also presented our proposal of saying we are also coming up with a Youth Incubation Center. It's going to cater such issues like drug and substance abuse to try and counter this scourge. So what is happening is that in Mapisa, there's been emergence of drugs. That place is a busy place. It's rising. Soon it might be a town. But drugs are all over the place. There are some allegations that drugs are sold there and there, but without evidence and without anyone being arrested, there's no way you can point fingers and say this person is responsible for actually selling drugs. But the reality is that drugs are all over the place because young people are seeing them, some of them being damaged. You see a young person who was vibrant, very talented, but at the end of the day, we are seeing that this person is now is no longer the person that used to be. So we're seeing the negative effects of drugs, and it's something that everyone is talking about. When we did the meeting, you see the pain among parents, how they feel that if we don't stop this thing at this emergence, we might fail to counter it in the long run.
If you're just joining us, this is the Breakfast Club. My name is Brighton Ncube, and my guest this morning is Descent Dube from Matobo Youth Development Initiative, talking about the Youth Incubation Center that they're building in Matobo. There's an issue about the distance from one point to another. We spoke about that during the by-elections. We say from one polling station to another, people walk a long distance. From one school to another, people walk a long distance. And from one clinic to another, it's a long distance. But paint a picture to us in terms of polling stations. How close are they to each other?
Yeah, the polling stations that we know that we used in 2018, they are far from each other. It's something that I'll give an example from where I come from in Ward 6. Our polling station is something like, it's almost 10 kilometers away from my rural home. Yeah. So it's a norm from almost every part of our district. Most of the polling stations are far. Then you realize that Omakelo are even going as far as 12 kilometers because we're separated by just a road. So they are going as far as 10 kilometers or 12 kilometers to Nyashongwe, and also for us who are going to Skangaj. So it's something that we know that it might affect might be the reason for voter apathy and stuff. Some people might register, but they might not go to and vote. So I don't know how best that can be done, or maybe using of tents might be something that might be proposed so that we decentralize the issue of polling stations. Because I cannot imagine some of our grandmothers going to some of our polling stations. Is almost impossible. And some of the young people, young people, they've got a way of life.
Yeah.
So for them to actually cycle 12 kilometers to go and cast a vote, considering the state of affairs in our country, definitely it will be hard for them to do that. So it's really important to actually consider those factors and try to come up with a very informed approach in terms of addressing that. So the other thing is that I've realized that the issue of distance in polling stations has not been a topical issue. People are ignoring it, but it's something that is very important that we need to address. So I think the issue of tents is a solution to decentralize that.
Right. So there was the Devolution report came out. How did the Devolution report affect or influence Matobo in terms of your boundaries in the district? Did it influence? Did you lose any district? Did you add any district?
So what happened? If it comes into fruition, we still have 2 constituents. But now the issue is we are going to be meshed with the Mangwe. So it will be Matobo Mangwe. So where I come from, it will be Matobo Mangwe. Then there's Matobo constituents. So it used to be Matobo South and Matobo North.
But do people on the ground understand these things? Does she understand now the Devolution report? I'm going to be back into the other constituents. I'm going to leave my area of voting previously to vote in a different area. Do they understand those issues?
No, currently they don't. Yeah, there was a meeting that I did attend where there was a ZEC representative, and he actually talked about them going out to do voter education because they are aware that people are not informed. And what is very tricky now is that there is misinformation now circulating among communities. Now people are sharing information like, from that kind of thing. And that thing affects. People believe what they hear at that given time. So it's very important for ZEC to actually go out and have a very robust voter education to actually give people some sort of information. Because some of them are saying, even if there's some information that even if you are now at Ward 7, you continue voting in that polling station. This information is, for some of them, I can't even help them. ZEC is in a better position to give them that information. So the people are confused, and far deep in Matobo South, I feel like information gap is highly felt. So it's very important for them to prioritize those places. Mangwe, Matobo South, Gwanda South. It's very important to actually prioritize those places because you realize that information gap is being felt in most cases. Be it education, be it service delivery, be it electoral participation, be it some sort of even food distribution, they might not be able to get that information.
Speak of information gap, now that you have this land to build the Youth Incubation Center, speak to us to maybe through your vision and your mission to say how are you going to mitigate the issue of information gap using this Youth Incubation Center?
So as I said, that we are going to have an information hub in that incubation. So the other thing, when we are constructing our incubation center, we don't want to chew more than you can swallow. We're going to have phases on how we're going to build. So the first stage will be to fence our site, of which we have already acquired those resources to fence our site. Then from that, we are going to come up with our offices and also the information center. It will be sort of like a wall. So that's where we're going to try and source some sort of computers so that we can address that information gap, and also maybe try to have some sort of to have young people coming to that center to share ideas and also access some digital devices and stuff, because it's a privilege to actually to know how to use a digital device in most parts of the rural areas. So we also want to address that gap so that someone doesn't see the laptop first time when they go to university or first time they go outside the country. So it's very important to address that. Then the other thing is that after the radio station is now operational, we're going to complement the community radio station to try and give them information, to try and make sure that we train community journalists to actually give information to our community radio station. So we try to make sure that in those communities that are at the periphery, they're able to create content that is going to be disseminated in the community radio station. Because people get interested in a medium when they know that their information is being disseminated, when they know that they can contribute to in the information that is being circulated in their communities. So we want to give them that kind of importance where they feel that our community issues are being raised in our community radio station.
Lastly, as we wrap up the show, Descent, the issue of devolution has been spoken about many times. Let's talk about amacimbi, mapane worms, and Matobo. I know people baba baccinto ngali Matobo. Are those mapane worms benefiting the locals? Are local resources benefiting the local people?
Unfortunately, they are not benefiting. Recently, there was a case where a packet was sold for 300 rands, 250 rands, of which, if you look at the process of gathering amacimbi, it's really painful to know that some people are buying amacimbi for 200 rands to 300 rands. Because if you look at how the issue of how amacimbi are being bought, people who come to buy amacimbi are the ones who are picking the price. So
not the locals.
Not the locals. Okay. So the locals are actually told that now we're buying them for this amount of money. So you can imagine these people, they'll be, usually it happens when schools are about to open. Those people, they're actually vulnerable. They really need money to pay fees. They really need money to buy uniforms and stuff. But you realize that someone has to sell something like 5 packets for them to pay fees and buy uniforms. And if you look, the process of having amacimbi 5 packets, you can actually lose a finger for you to have 5 packets. So it's a painful thing. So the issue of now the RTC is coming up with a bylaw, amacimbi bylaw, and it's a positive development, and we really support that, and we're hoping that it's going to address such issues to ensure that people from the local community can actually come up with a price and can also decide on who to actually gather those amacimbi, because some people from outside, they come in the community, they gather amacimbi, and it also affects the price of amacimbi if people have amacimbi everywhere. So it affects, but it's our own resource, and it's our only resource, so we really need to cut it with jealous.
Sam, thanks so much for your time, for coming through the Breakfast Club. Thanks so much for your time, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We've been watching the Breakfast Club, and my guest this morning was Descent Dube. They're speaking about the Youth Incubation Center that they're building in Matobo. If you want to support them, to follow them on Twitter at MYDI on Twitter, and to follow site at S02EP21mp4 on Twitter. Please do enjoy the show and the rest of your day.